Oh yeah, we're on.
Good evening, Richardson area Democrats. I'm Jenny Laughlin. I'm the president of Richardson area Democrats, and I think I might have met most of you tonight. We usually have a lot of people that have not been here before, but tonight I think we only have a few. How many people are here for the first time tonight? Oh my gosh! Look at that. There's more than I thought. I did get to meet a lot of the people that were here for the first time, but I am so glad that you're here. And if you haven't been here in a long time, like my friend Bob, who lives down the street from me, I am so glad that you came tonight. If you haven't been here for a while, we are happy to see you. Derek Gay is here tonight. He used to be on our board, and he ran for CD24, and we're happy that you're here tonight. It's good to see you. There's a lot of great people here tonight. All of you are great for being here tonight, and I am just so thrilled to be up here and be able to say we're going to keep on going, right? I mean, they can like trip us up, and they can make it hard, but they can't knock us down. And I don't want to start crying, man, but it's hard days. When I get together with all of you guys, this is what gives me some gas in my tank. So thank you so much for you coming, and I hope that it gives you some gas in your tank too. I want to, before we get started, say, I don't know if you guys know that these people just come up here and help us out, getting you checked in, talking to people, and selling the t-shirts. Norma Tomlinson is helping out tonight. Thank you, Norma. And Glenna Witherspoon, thank you so much for helping us out tonight. And I don't know where Reggie is. Where's Reggie? Did he walk inside? Reggie is helping out tonight. Thank you, Reggie Walker. John Panzer always helps us out. Thank you so much. Brooke Hull is always good selling us those t-shirts. By the way, how do you like our new t-shirts? Like our new t-shirts? Democrats defending democracy. We were going to use them for the 4th of July parade, and the 4th of July parade didn't end up being a parade. It ended up being a gathering, so we didn't use them for that. But I have a pretty strong feeling that we're going to need these t-shirts for a while. We're going to be in the trenches defending democracy for a good long time here. So please feel free to get yourself a t-shirt. It's, we've got a lot. So tonight I'm going to try and keep things moving along. It's warm. I don't want you guys to get too hot and fatigued. So we're going to get right on started. Couple of announcements first. In case you didn't get a flyer yet, we are going to be hosting the Justice Tour. What's it called? Summer of Justice. And we're going to be at the Oak Highlands Brewery, which is where Happy Hippie used to be, right there at Lockwood, on the 16th of August. It's a Saturday afternoon, and we're going to have free food and free barbecue. We've got a ton of people signed up already for that. It's going to be all the justices that are running are going to be there. A ton of people are already signed up. They want 600. So I want all of y'all to put it on your calendar and also invite 5 people. Okay? We need to take back our courts, and Zach is doing a good job with representation on those justice seats. So I hope that you'll be able to make it out to that and get to meet these. It's August 16th. August 16th, and there should be a flyer somewhere around. If you didn't get a flyer, put your hand up because you do need to register. And Zach will get you a flyer for that. What other thing am I supposed to announce? Can somebody tell me what else I'm supposed to announce? Okay. Sorry for the dead air. Here we go. We're going to get started tonight. And usually at this time, Sandy Sweeney comes up and introduces our nonprofit of the month that we're going to be featuring. Today, Sandy wasn't able to make it, but she is still booking people here, booking organizations. And this month we have Dana Huffman is here, which Dana is ours. We love Dana, and yeah, come on up, Dana. She is going to be representing and talking about Take Me Home Pet Rescue and the Humane Society. So please talk to us about it.
Okay, about to move. All right, so thank you. Yeah, Richardson, we're lucky because we have 2 Richardson-based animal rescue groups, 2 based here that help. They work with the shelter when the shelter reaches out, which happens frequently, but they're also based here with our fosters and our donors. Jenny says bring that mic in. Okay, here it is. So for the rescues, for those of you that know, or you've already blocked me from all media because I'm always asking you to take a dog or a cat, I'm sorry. But fosters are the lifeblood. So fosters and money, we can't do either without both. If we had money but no fosters, it wouldn't matter. If we had money, no fosters, no money. So all the fosters are kept in the home. So when people go to adopt, they know something about this pet, right? They know what it likes. If it likes kids, if it likes cats, if it likes dogs. And so these fosters, it's a labor of love. They open their home. They teach this animal that may have had some trauma how to be a pet, how to feel safe, and how to integrate with a family. So the difference in Take Me Home Pet Rescue and Richardson Humane is Take Me Home Pet Rescue actually has a physical location over at 580 West Arapahoe Road. Richardson Humane does not have a physical location. They are all foster-based in the home only and do adoption events like at Petco or PetSmart if you've seen those kinds of things on the weekend. So what we're always looking for are volunteers. And if you can't foster, there's still stuff for you to do. If you can't donate, there's still stuff for you to do. We need help getting the word out. So as you might imagine, we had to start clearing and making room because animals were coming from Austin, because animals were going to Austin from the south. Okay, so as a state, we always help when we can in these regions, so everybody's doubled up. Sometimes it's just a temp foster. We just need them held overnight until we can get them to the vet, until they can get to their permanent foster. So if you've ever thought about it, it's richardsonhumanesociety.org, or Take Me Home Pet Rescue is tmhpr.com. Go on the website, look at all the things that we need. That's what I'm telling you. Supplies, also outstanding. The donations cover vet care, both groups. 100% of funds go to animal care. There are no salaries. No one is a paid employee. It separates us from some other places. No money for salaries. Vet care, supplies, in Take Me Home's instance, rent for their facility. So that's what we need. We need donations. We need foster homes. Sometimes we just need transport. There's an animal that's on an EU, a euthanasia list, and they have to be picked up by 3 p.m. 3 p.m. and that's the time, and we find out at noon. Sometimes we just need fast transport. And if you can just get there and pick the animal up, the dog or the cat or the puppy or the kitten, and bring it to the vet or the space, you've saved its life, that one thing. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. It just needs a lift. It can't call Lyft or Uber on its own, but it needs a lift, right? So it's all those kinds of things that maybe people don't think about that save that pet. So any of those things that you can do to help out, again, we're very fortunate to have 2 groups based in Richardson. Don't have to live in Richardson to help us out. We have volunteers that are all over, believe it or not, all over the area. So if you want to talk to me more about it, I'm on the board of both. I'm the past president of each because I am a glutton. Not because I can't say no. Because there's a need out there, y'all, and they can't speak for themselves, right? So we've got to speak for them. We've got to help them out. Zach's here. He's bottle feeding kittens. Yay, Zach, bottle feeding kittens. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, because a lot of people don't know, but the animal shelter workers are having a hard time, y'all. It is a sad place to be. The mental health crisis amongst the workers is hard. You can imagine why. It's just full of a lot of sadness sometimes. So when we get that one that gets a quote freedom ride, and we can take a picture of it getting loaded in the car and drive away, it pulls everybody's spirits up. It lets them live to see another day and continue to try to help these little creatures that through no fault of their own have been left and they need help. So talk to me about either group. It doesn't matter. We both need help. We help each other. We work together. We share supplies. If one gets too much food that's going to get stale dated, they get it to the other group. There is nothing competition here. This is nothing but love for the animals and trying to save their life. So I'll be in the back. I will not try to take you to get you a dog or a cat. I won't try to talk you into taking the ones that I have. I'm kidding. I didn't bring any with me. But truly, if you just don't know what you can do, you want to do something, but you don't know what, I'll be in the back. I've got all kinds of ideas. Ask me all the questions you need. Show our shelter some love. Stop by sometimes, man. Y'all, just take them a cookie tray, man, because people really show them love. And what they're doing is hard, and it's thankless, and I can't imagine doing what they have to do every day. So if you just got some extra time, go by. I appreciate you for what you do. Volunteer to walk some of the shelter dogs. It helps them decompress so that when people come to see them, they're happy and healthy and decompressed and not so excited to get out that they look more excitable or high energy than what they may really be, right? So help our shelter out, help our rescues out. I'll be in the back. Come talk to me, ask questions. I've got answers.
Y'all, she's a hero. She has been doing this, and talk about tough work. She takes on those babies that nobody is going to take, and she finds them homes. And so thank you personally, Dana, for the work that you do, and thank you for coming tonight to represent. Appreciate you. Today, one thing I want to tell y'all, in case you didn't hear the news, we got the second announcement of a person running for Attorney General today. This week, Nathan Johnson announced that he's going to be running for Attorney General. Anybody know Nathan Johnson? Yeah, he's our senator, state senator, and he is going to be running for Attorney General. Today, Joe Jaworski, who we may remember. Anybody remember Joe Jaworski? He used to come, yeah, we know him. He used to come and see us quite a bit when he was running in 22. So very excited about Joe getting in the race, and this is when it starts. We're gonna probably next month we're gonna start seeing more candidates coming to talk to us about the primary that they're going to be running in, the needs that they have for volunteers or donations and that kind of thing. And it's really a good idea if you guys can, find some candidates that you want to help out, that you want to be a part of their campaign in whatever way they need your help. So we the season's starting. We've got work to do to turn things around in 2026. So I wanted to remind you of that. Tonight we have two speakers who are going to be talking to us about this last legislative session. The 89th legislative session just ended a few weeks ago. Our representative for Senate or House District 70, Mihaela Plesa, is here tonight. And she's going to be talking to us. I'll introduce her in a minute. I won't go into that first right now. But before we get started with her portion of it, I have asked Jennifer Justice to come in tonight. Councilwoman Jennifer Justice. She was here with us a couple of months ago and talked to us about things that are going on at the in the commissions and committees in our boards and commissions in the city. But tonight she's going to be talking to us about how the legislation that has just passed in Austin affects Richardson and our city government and our lives very directly. So I'm going to ask Jennifer to come on up. She is a third-term councilwoman. She does an awesome job at the council, and we appreciate you being here with us tonight.
That was very generous, thank you. To continue the theme from the last time I was here, I talked about boards and commissions and ways to get involved in Richardson. I'm very excited to say that two of your very own, Teresa, go Dart, love Dart. Teresa and Justin were both accepted to be in the next Leadership Richardson class, so we're super excited about that. Yeah, that's awesome. So just going to continue the theme. My printer gave out tonight, so if I'm squinting and trying to figure out what my notes say, please forgive me because it's a little streaky. Okay, so the last session, they were just shy of 9,000 bills filed. Okay, just, thank you, Representative, because I don't know how you look at all that. And Jordan, thank you. I'm sure you probably are the one that read all of them and, put all of the summaries together and all that sort of stuff. It's a lot of work that they do down there, 9,000 bills. The city tracked about 2,100 of those. 2,100, almost of those were also tracked by the Texas Municipal League because they were legislation that impacted cities, local governments. The 302 of the bills that Richardson was tracking were sent to the governor. About half of those related to criminal justice. And for those of you that don't know, Chief Gary Tittle of the Richardson Police Department is the city's legislative affairs person for the city of Richardson. He did that when he was at the Dallas Police Department, a much bigger department, a much bigger city. So he serves that role for us here in Richardson. He goes down to Austin and helps us track that. He knows folks down there. So he was tracking all these, and that's part of why I have that number about criminal justice, because that's particularly near and dear to his heart. But about half of what we were tracking of the 300 bills or so that went to the governor were related to criminal justice. Those bills have to either be signed or vetoed by June 22nd, or they automatically become law. So there are about 7 that I want to talk to you about tonight. I'm not going to go into the priorities of the governor and all those sorts of things. I know the representative is going to talk a little bit about some of those priorities and how she approached those during the session. So the first relates to fiscal management, and one that's going to have a pretty big impact to the city's bottom line. It was a change to the ad valorem tax rate for business personal property. Previously, the exemption level was $2,500, and my back-of-the-napkin math is they increased that nearly 5,000% to $125,000. So this requires a constitutional amendment. So I think the spirit of why they passed this legislation at its base was a good one, which was to try and help small businesses, right? For small businesses that are struggling, who might not be able to afford to pay this tax at a $2,500 level, this would help them out. It's also going to help out big corporations who have multiple business personal property accounts, right? If you have a large company that has 10 accounts, that's 10 exemptions, right? So it's not all that great. It addresses a small problem, but not the entire problem. And if passed as a constitutional amendment, would have an approximately $1.5 million hit to the city's budget. To our city's budget. So it's a big impact. And a lot of that comes from large corporations. It's not from benefit to small business. It's mostly to larger corporations. So I think the spirit of why it was passed for the most part was in the right place, but probably not well thought through. There should have been some exceptions, put in place, those sorts of things. So you will get an opportunity to weigh in on this. There was a House joint resolution, and it will be on the ballot in November. So again, the spirit was there. Think about how this really impacts your city's bottom line. Is this really the relief that small businesses need? Is this for large corporations? I ask you to put some thought into that about whether or not to pass that when it comes in November, because it is a big impact. That's I think for every I don't want to misquote it, but I think $2 million or so is a 1% raise for the city staff, something like that. So I mean, this is a big impact to the city's bottom line if it passes. Okay, so the next one, this is another one that, again, don't really know why it was needed, It was an infringement on local control and has a $450,000 impact on the city's bottom line. And this relates to franchise tax for video streaming. The state legislature decided they needed to pass legislation that says that we can't charge that tax. So there's $450,000 that the city can no longer have as revenue. So now we're up to $2 million just in 2 bills that will impact the city's bottom line.
Yeah, what donor benefits from that?
Well, thank you.
Is that going to be on the ballot
That is
also?
not. That's done. That's done. The next one is an interesting one, and we don't understand, again, why this was necessary. I don't know. This is why we have 9,000 bills. There was a law that was passed, and all of these, by the way, unless I specify, went to the governor's desk and we either signed or they weren't vetoed, so they're now law unless they're going to the ballot in November. There was a law passed that annual financial audits cannot happen more than 6 months after the date that the tax rate is set. And so you think, okay, who cares? But I'll give you an example. In the last couple of years, we had a staffing issue which required us to get a little bit late getting to our auditors. So our auditors said, okay, we're gonna skip Richardson. We're gonna go on to the next folks, and then we're going to we'll come back to Richardson. And then they had some staffing issues. So if this had been law at the time, what it basically means is that you cannot raise the tax above the no new revenue tax rate. We would have no ability to have any new revenue, which means no raises. You all hear sort of what we're talking about, the cost of increase in prices for everything in your life. We've talked about eggs. Think about the price of steel or asphalt, or how much it pays to pick up trash. Like all of those things would be impacted by this. And so just by sort of an error that was not really of our own making, we would have been impacted by this legislation. And this impacts every city. It's not just Richardson. Again, why this needed to be legislation, I don't know. It's very ticky-tacky and was somebody's priority, but does not help our city because, again, by no fault of our own, we could be in violation of this, and it will have a huge impact to the city's bottom line. And now we have the NIMBY bill. This is a really interesting one that I think you can think about in 2 different ways. Right now, in Richardson, if there is a zoning case, we send out notice to all the property owners within a 200-foot zone around that. If 20% of the owners oppose it, it comes to city council, and there has to be a supermajority vote in order for that to pass, because 20% of the property owners around said, no, city council, we want you to really stop and think about this. So instead of a 4-3 vote, it requires a 6-1 vote to pass. Again, for some reason, the legislature thought, we don't want it to be 20%, we want it to be 60% of the property owners who have to object before a supermajority is required. So a lot of this comes down to some cities not being happy about affordable housing coming. They didn't want a small portion of property owners to be able to object to that. I mean, I think that's in part good, but really the way that I view this bill is it's taking away your ability to really have your city council stop and think about something and be forced into a supermajority vote. If it's something that 20% of property owners don't like, that's usually several property owners getting together and saying to the city council, we don't like that. Now, on the flip side, you could have one really large property owner who makes up 20% and can force a supermajority, but I haven't seen that happen. When it's come to the city council on a supermajority vote, it's been multiple property owners who have gotten together and said, hang on a second, we think that most of the city council needs to agree on this first. So again, I really think it takes away more control from you, the property owners, than anything else. It's not a huge impact to the city or the city council, but it does impact the voters and the property owners. was a question about whether this might relate to short-term rentals and those sorts of things. I hadn't heard that component of the bill, but I'll look into that and let you know. I'll let Jenny know if that's a component of the bill or not. Sure.
So is that 20% of the people that got the notice that live within
200 feet. Yep.
Okay, now it would go to 60.
Correct. 60% of the property owners within 200 feet would have to object to force a supermajority. Yes, that's exactly right. Okay. This is a big one, and I think a lot of you probably follow Councilman Corcoran on social media, and he posted recently about this bill, and it is just a real head scratcher. This is one where they tried to address a problem, and again, didn't quite think it all the way through. So right now, the city, for health, wellness, and safety reasons, can say our rule is no more than 4 unrelated people can live in a house without getting some sort of exception from the city. Yeah, so they have now changed that.
That's the way it's been.
That's the way it's been. No more than 4 unrelated people can live in a city without getting some sort of an exception. Now that we freely give the exception if it's reasonable and those sorts of things. All of you know there are occasionally group homes or sober living homes and those sorts of things, and there's law that says that if it's a reasonable accommodation they're requesting or required to give them. So there are homes that have these exceptions. That will just now be the rule. We won't have to give exceptions anymore because the legislature has now passed a bill that says if your city has a university in it, you can no longer regulate that. So that means something like I think each person has to have 50 square feet of living space in a bedroom, and so you got a 200 square foot bedroom, you can shove 4 people in there. So you might have a 4-bedroom house potentially that has 16 people living in it. The city can no longer regulate that because of what your state legislature did. It's very frustrating. Imagine the parking, imagine the trash, all the things that you can imagine. It's the frat house bill is exactly what it's called. You know, we have a really amazing university partner in UTD, smart students. It's not really a big party school, but they can now have frat houses in the Canyon Creek neighborhood, the Greenwood Hills neighborhood, way out in the Panhandle in Richardson. It's not limited to anywhere in the city. So it's called the frat house bill for a reason, and it's not limited to university students. You all want to get a house together and move in together? The state legislature says, sure, all of you here tonight can live together in just a few houses in one neighborhood. I mean, again, there are health, safety, and welfare reasons why we regulate these things, and now we no longer can. Yes, ma'am? It's a good question. I think if the HOA has a rule in place, it's the one advantage for the most part of having HOAs. I do think that they can regulate this. Because I represent District 2 that has the vast majority of the HOAs in the city of Richardson, and quite a few of them are pleased that they have this regulation because they aren't concerned. According to
so now the other ones are going to start being like,
they're going to change their bylaws. Exactly. Yeah. So, but for the rest of Richardson, where we don't have the ability to have those bylaws and regulate, you know, to a neighborhood near you, there's potentially going to be a frat house or something equivalent. And then again, a little bit more of the unnecessary chipping away of local control. They decided that it is now necessary for us to post public meeting notices. I don't remember how many, 3 business days before the actual public meeting takes place. So that means your city council meets on Mondays. It now means that we have to post our agenda for the following week by 5 p.m. the day after our meeting. So what does that really mean? It's one, apart from it being frustrating that the state legislature really has no business sort of getting into local control. Think about it from this perspective, from a pure procurement perspective, right? Where we, as you know, will vote on we need to buy vehicles for our fleet department or whatever it may be, asphalt, all these sorts of things. It can now be that 14 days or more ahead of time, we have to be anticipating what's going to be on the agenda and trying to get these contracts lined up. That's not the case now. Think about it from an economic development perspective. Those things come up pretty quickly, right? Where Friday at 4 p.m., an hour before we would normally have to post it, something comes in and the city manager wants to put up that on the agenda for us to be able to talk about on Monday. We can't do that anymore. It could potentially be 10 days before he can bring an opportunity to us that's bad, right? Like, we're not going to be able to potentially talk about economic development deals and encourage him to move on them maybe for 10 days. We might lose it by then. So there are real implications, and it's very disruptive to the process, and it was just wholly unnecessary. We, again, don't understand why there's the meddling that happens with city business. And then last, and this isn't a big one, but it's just another interesting chipping away at local control. Last session, they took away the ability of the city to license food trucks. And this time they've now taken away the ability of the city to inspect them. There's now going to be a statewide department that does that. So whereas most of you know your city is typically really on top of it and really fast about doing these sorts of things, you know, moving at the pace of business, we like to say, we're now going to be dependent on some yet to be established state group agency that's going to both license and inspect food trucks. And, you know, again, not a huge impact on the city, but a real head scratcher about why was that necessary. The city can set up an ILA with whatever this organization is going to be and try and do it on our own. There are, thank you, interlocal agreement with whatever this agency is going to be. But again, it's just a head scratcher about what's going on in Austin sometimes. I know you all are scratching your head too a lot of the time, but these are just some examples of some that are really going to have a huge financial impact on the city, and others that we just don't understand, again, why there's a constant attack on local control. One thing I think that is coming up in the special session that could have a really big impact is taxpayer-funded lobbying. The city of Richardson's not large enough to track 9,000 bills on its own, and so we are a member of the Texas Municipal League who does that. That's technically taxpayer-funded lobbying when we ask them to go and track all of those bills and speak or oppose bills and those sorts of things. So we're very much against that. That's something that we're watching and sort of will oppose because we want to be able to pay an organization to go down to Austin on behalf of cities the size of Richardson and smaller who also can't afford to have their own lobbyists on staff to lobby on behalf of the city. That's important. So that's all I have for you today. I know that you're going to hear more about what actually happened in the session and what's coming up in the special session from representative here tonight. But any questions for me, or do we want to hear from the awesome lady there in the back? Yes, ma'am. That is not a question I can answer because the school district would be tracking that more than the city, so I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if Representative Plesa would know or not. Did you get it back?
We'll ask it again.
Okay, we'll ask the question again when she comes up. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. Yeah, No, the point he was making is that this the requirement that we now post notice 3 business days ahead of time is not just a legislation that impacts Richardson alone. It impacts all governments that are required to post open meetings, and so some of the impacts we're concerned about, you know, economic development being an example, may not be as impactful as we think they're going to be. It's definitely to be determined for sure, because other cities will be dealing with these same requirements, so they might not be able to move as quickly. It's a good point, and it is to be determined how big the impact will be. Our staff is already adjusting and preparing for it, but it definitely will be different, and it will be disruptive to the way that we've done things for decades. Any other questions? Thank you.
There's someone in the very back.
Yeah. Our representative's going to talk about it. Yep.
Yeah, we're going to let the expert talk about that. Yeah, I'm going to sit down before we start talking about that.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate it. She is a jewel to have here. Okay, I'm going to turn the mic up a little bit. People in the back, there are some more seats up here in the front. It might be helpful if you can't hear that you move up a little bit front. But right now, I'm not so worried about not being able to hear the representative. She, it's true. She projects like I do. So, well, maybe more. I am so thrilled to have our representative, Mihaela Plesa, here tonight. She has been elected twice to Collin County. She's my representative in Richardson HD, or my 55 is over in West Canyon Creek. And so I've known her and worked with her for years now, and I'm looking forward to working with her on her upcoming re-election for a third term. So for now, thank you so much for coming.
Good evening, RAD. What is going on, my friends? It is good to be home. I have missed you guys. I have been down in Austin, and it has been weird in all the wrong ways. So for those of you guys that don't know me, give me the opportunity to just introduce myself a little bit. My name is Mihaela Plesa, and I proudly serve as the first Democrat elected to the Texas House of Representatives from Collin County in 30 years. And I did that because of you guys. I came to you guys in 2022 when nobody believed in me, and I said, we can do it, but we got to show up. And I'm so proud to have carried RAD's endorsement through both of my re-elections campaign, and I'm working real hard to earn y'all's endorsement as we get ready for 2026, because y'all heard of Project 2025? Well, it's about to be Project 2026, and we really take our state back. Because what I'm about to tell you guys that has happened in the last 140 days on your dollar and on your behalf is going to make you guys sick. And I know that you guys have heard a little bit about it, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the nitty-gritty of what's been going on. I'm going to tell you all about a little bit of the bad, I'm going to tell you guys about a little of the good, and I'm going to tell you guys about this not-so-special session that we've been called back to on Monday. I'm going to try to go by my notes. I was given a couple of bills to try to address. I'm going to do my best. But anybody who's heard me speak knows that I'm not very good at sticking to the talking points, so please forgive me ahead of time. So the state legislature is made up of 150 state representatives, and this session we went into the fight with 2 less Democrats than what we had last session. So we lost 2 seats. Now, for those of you guys that followed my re-election campaign last year, you guys know that the governor of this great state of Texas said that he was going to flip 3 seats going into this legislative session. Well, he called me out, and he didn't take our seat. And that's because of you guys. That's because you showed up. You were like, oh, hell no, are we going back? And I just want to thank you guys, because out of those 3 seats, he did pick up 2 seats. And that meant that Democrats went into this legislative session with 2 less members. 2 less members fighting for public education. 2 less members fighting for books in schools, for access to health care. 2 less members to fight for you guys. And that's what I'm saying when I say this is so important. Meetings like tonight are so important because we need to get energized for what's coming up. Because we've seen the blueprints. We know what they're filing. And all those bad bills that we just heard about, I'm proud to say I voted against all of them. Thank you. But I need help. I need friends. I need people to show up. We need to show up for our candidates as we move into the next year. We've got some competitive districts in Dallas County. We've got some competitive districts in Bexar County. My district is still considered competitive. So we've got to beat the money. We've got to beat them. We got to show up for our candidates, because the reason why this horrible voucher scan got passed was because Governor Abbott used his war chest that he got from a carpetbagger in the north of from Maine or something, Pennsylvania, Jeff Yass.
Were the good guys.
Okay, well, he came down here and he took our schools, and that's a bad guy. Because Texas, we stand for our public schools. And what Jeffrey Yaz did was he gave our governor $12 million. And our governor went in and he primaried a bunch of our Republican friends who stood with us last year to defeat the voucher scam. And so when we came in this session, it was very, very hard for us to rebuild that coalition. But what we did do was we started it. And let me just tell you about Texas Democrats. We put up a fight, so much so that the President of the United States was so afraid that we were actually going to defeat this voucher scam again that you know what he did? He called my Republican colleagues the morning of the vote. And he said to them, if you vote for this bill, you guys will all get endorsements from me. If you vote against the bill, you will not get my endorsement. I will primary you and I'll come after you. And so those bipartisan coalitions that we built, those conversations that we started having with rural Republicans started breaking down because of Donald Trump and him making a phone call to our governor, who is so easily persuaded. And so that's what happened in the voucher fight. And it's unfortunate because, as you guys know now, we're going to spend $1 billion in the next year. But by the end of the decade, we're going to spend almost $8 billion in this voucher scam. It's going to balloon just like it has in other states that have implemented this. And we know that it's a scam because at every turn, when Democrats tried to file an amendment to put a cap on the $8 billion scam, all the Republicans voted it down. When we tried to hold them accountable for what they're teaching, because let me tell you, they're trying to ban schools in public, books in public schools and public libraries, but they're not trying to regulate what's going on in these private schools. And when we try to bring some transparency and some accountability, all those Republicans, they just voted it down. When we tried to say, hey, you know what, we'll meet you where y'all are at. Yes, maybe there is some equity issues and we should allow children who are disenfranchised to have access, but let's cap it. You can't be a millionaire making $250,000 a year and still get a $10,000 coupon from the comptroller to send your kids to private schools. But guess what? The Republicans voted it down. So we know it's been a scam all along because at every turn, when Democrats try to stand up and post an amendment and do something to make sure that it's equitable, the Republicans were more concerned about their wealthy donors instead of us. But let me tell you the good part. We did pass $8.5 billion for public schools. So can I hear a round of applause that there are some schools that are going to see some relief? Richardson, Plano, Allen, Frisco, the ones I represent, will see some relief. My concern is that it's not enough. We didn't increase the basic allotment, the thing that we know raises all boats, right? We only raised it by $55. Say it again. We are at the bottom of the list when it comes to per pupil funding for public schools in the nation. We needed about $1,300 just to bring us to the median, not even to make us excellent, just to make us medium, average. And they weren't willing to do it. Dan Patrick was not willing to increase that basic allotment because the House version of the bill had it very much higher. But when the Senate got their hands on it, they do what the Senate always does, messes everything up, and they only increase that basic allotment by $55. There are some good parts of the bill, though. If you're a teacher, you are going to see a pay raise. We put $4.5 billion for teacher pay raises. We also put $3 billion for pre-K. We put $3 billion for early childhood interventions. This is a huge deal for us, you guys. We've never made this kinds of investments in pre-K. And for all of you guys that work with kids or know about early childhood intervention, the sooner that we intervene, the sooner that we can have relationships and understand the psychology of children, the better outcomes we have. And so I'm really proud to have worked to make sure that we did get some money to our schools, we did get some money to our teachers, and we did get some money to our kids with disabilities. However, Republicans are very tricky. They're very good at what they're doing. And a lot of the money is tied to weights. a lot of money is tied to weights and balances, and they can reverse a lot of that. And so what I tell everybody is that the fight for public education isn't over. Every 2 years when the legislature goes back, we've got to fight for more money. We've got to fight for more accountability for the voucher scam. Because every 2 years, that has to be revoted on. That is not being funded in perpetuity. So I say that to remind you guys that every session is going to be a session against vouchers and a fight for public education in Texas. So I encourage everybody to show up for that. Thank you. Yeah. But besides, our fight for our public schools, we constantly see a fight against healthcare and science in our state. I didn't think that we could get more anti-choice in this state, but they have found some very interesting ways to attack women. And I'm proud that we were able to work on a bipartisan manner to pass some exemptions to the abortion ban this session. I'm proud to have worked with my colleagues and voted for it, and I stand by it. However, it does not go far enough, and it will not save the amount of lives that reversing this horrible draconian ban that we're living under is going to accomplish. Because let me tell you where they want to go. Y'all, and I'm not making this up, they filed a bill this session to test our toilet water. How many of y'all know about this bill? It's crazy. It is we're talking like, you want to talk about communists? The communists didn't even think about this stuff, right? They are so afraid that women are getting access to medicine that they are willing to be so invasive. The party of small government is willing to be so invasive that they want to test our toilet water for medications that they don't think is acceptable to you guys, to them, that you guys are taking. I think that is crazy, and if that doesn't scare you, if that doesn't wake you up as to what is coming around the corner, wake up, because they've put stuff like this on the call going into the next special session. They want to test it, like, to have access to the water to test it for certain chemicals. Mifepristone is what they're looking for.
And birth control.
And birth control. They just want to have access to, like, the North Texas Municipal Water District, right? They want to be able to, at any time that they want, go in and say, hey, there's mifepristone in the water in this region. So women must be self-medicating in some way. Pretty much. I mean, it's crazy stuff right now that's happening in the legislature. The ban on books, right? We are continuously seeing ban on education, ban on science. It's gotten so bad that even the representative that's having to clean up in Central Texas, a district that he just lost 130 lives in, is saying, oh my God, I messed up. I should have voted for the bill that would have saved my constituents. I mean, it's crazy time over there. But I'm hoping that Texans are waking up a little bit. I'm hoping that rural Texans are going to start seeing that their representatives voted to defund their schools, that their representatives are voting to defund their police force. I have the honor and privilege to sit on the Pension Investment and Financial Services Committee. Not only do I sit on that committee, I'm the vice chair of that committee. Thank you. It's a big deal. Texas is the 8th largest economy in the world, and that committee regulates our financial institutions. And to see the conversations I'm having to have with my colleagues about funding police pensions and funding fire pensions and funding teacher pensions, this is not the party that believes in a strong community. This is the party that wants to divide us, and they want to control us. They're also really afraid, and that's why we see the items that are on the call that the governor put. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the special session that's coming up. This is the 9th special session that the governor has called since he's been governor of the great state of Texas. So he's used to calling members back. This is the first time, I think, that he's blatantly created a partisan agenda to profit off of the horrible devastation that has happened in Central Texas. If you look at his call, the top of the call is a bunch of emergency items, disaster relief funding, and helping communities that are experiencing this horrible, horrible devastation. But all those things that he put at the top of the call, he can do without bringing 150 members back to the state legislature. He's done it multiple times. We've seen him do it. We've seen him fund the border wall without bringing us back and all kinds of stuff. We've seen him also take away money without calling us back, right? And so we know that he has the power to do that. It's the bottom of the call that concerns me. It's the taxpayer-funded lobbying that's on the call. It's attacks on women's reproductive rights on the call. It's the action of letting the Attorney General have more powers to prosecute election workers. And by the way, if you live in Collin County, who lives in Collin County? Congratulations, in November, you'll be voting on paper ballots. That's not a joke. So these are the things that Republicans are focusing on, attacking communities of color and specifically silencing them by putting an unprecedented redistricting agenda on the call. And there was a question in the back about the redistricting agenda. Once again, and don't take it from me, I mean, go watch CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. President Trump has put in a call to the governor of Texas and said, hey, my big ugly bill is looking like a big pile of shit right now. Sorry, didn't mean to cuss, but politicians are cussing right now. It's just everyone's doing it. I'm trying to feel it out. So he's he's afraid. He's afraid that Texas is in play. We all know that Texas has been in play, and that's why he put in a call to the GOP, to the governor of Texas, to little Lieutenant Dan, and he said, hey, I need y'all to figure out how to get me 5 more seats. And they're doing it. And they're doing it. And it's unfortunate because every time we know that we're right about to score, the Republican Party of Texas and the National Republican Party decides they're going to move the goalpost. And they've done it to us every single time. And that's why I always encourage you guys to please show up in your communities. Have conversations with your neighbors, even if they tend to be a little bit uncomfortable. And that's how we enact change. So many people thought that me in 2022 with no money, I'm going to tell you guys a story. I've never told this in public. I wish my fiance was here. So during my election in 2022, I received 3 letters from an anonymous sender. I call him my phantom of the campaign. I swear to God, I don't even know why I'm telling y'all this, but I think it's important. I received 3 letters. The first letter came and they said, I see that you're running for the seat. You're going to have a really, really hard time. This district was not drawn for you to win, but if you work really hard, and they literally put on there and knock, it was like some crazy number. It was like 12,000 something doors. By my math, you're going to win. I'm like, okay. Then I get another letter that says, I just had dinner with your opponent, and y'all remember who my opponent was at that time. I'm not going to say anything. And her family and some other people, it was a dinner. They were talking about some business stuff. I think it was real estate. And he said, hey, how do you feel about your race? How do you feel about your opponent? And apparently what they said was, oh, we got it in the bag. Our opponent, yeah, that's what they said. And I have the letters. They said, our opponent has no money. Nobody knows her. And she has an unpronounceable name. That's why I'm telling you guys, stuck with me. And they said, our opponent has all the money, has the backing of Greg Abbott, is loved by the community, and everybody knows her name. The third letter was a letter congratulating me on my win in 2022. So when I tell you guys that we can win, we can win. We can win without having any money. We can win with candidates that aren't super well known yet. But guess what? They show up to every RAD meeting. They show up to every PAD meeting. They show up to the Rotary meetings. They go to Highland Springs like I did and got booed, you know, but they show up. I got booed. They show up and they can have unpronounceable names. As a matter of fact, I prefer my candidate to have an unpronounceable name, right? And we can win and we can fight back against this horrible stuff that we're seeing in the legislature. The attack on local control, the attack on body autonomy, the attack on our public schools. We can show up. We can win. And then when we do win, we can go down to Austin and we can be effective legislators. I just want to give you guys just a couple of my wins that I'm really, really proud of passing. I got 7 bills to the governor's desk that were signed. Thank you. It's hard. It's hard out here for a Collin County Democrat. House Bill 37 is one of the best pieces of legislation I ever had the opportunity to work on. It started from a knock on a door, my neighbor Katie telling me her story about the worst day of her life. The day she was told that the child she was carrying had an incurable disease and probably wasn't going to take its first breath. And the story and the journey that she had experienced living under our laws and what was available to her as a bereaved parent having a silent birth. As you guys know, since the reversal of Roe, the state of Texas has seen a 9% increase in infant deaths and still deaths in our state. And what House Bill 37 does is it creates the first and golden standard for those families, making sure that every maternal ward in the state of Texas has access to the highest technologies for grieving families, whether it's a cooling bassinet or a bereavement blanket, have access to the best mental health care, and that we are not creating more trauma for these bereaved parents. And so I'm really, really proud to have made this bill happen. Making sure that the fiscal note was not $150 million like it was when they first handed me the bill. Working across the aisle with my Republican colleagues to make sure that got done. House Bill 108 was inspired by the Allen shooting. That guy had tactical gear from here down. And if it wouldn't have been for our police officers and their training, more individuals would have been injured and hurt and killed that day. So passing increased penalties for anybody committing a crime with body armor. We also passed a bill to bring Texas up to the 21st century when it comes to criminal justice and our availability to tap into rapid DNA testing. Now we can hopefully solve crimes within days, weeks, and not months and years. Had the opportunity to work with A&M Extension on a bill to help our ag community and our farmers. I never thought that a city girl like me from Dallas would be working to stop the screwworm. Have you guys heard about the screwworm that's apparently going to kill us and all of our produce? So focusing on things that I never really thought that I was going to focus on, but realizing how important those issues were when I started talking to my farmers and my ag workers. Making sure that we got some money from UTD. They're doing some amazing things, some amazing research over there, and we were able to add $6 million to the budget for PTSD research that they're doing. So just making sure that we're continuing to build those alliances across the aisle where we can, to make sure that legislation that is important to our communities, legislation like Everly's Law, that started from a conversation with Katie, makes it across the finish line, right? Making sure that we're continuing to make sure that our healthcare workers have money. I was really proud to work on a bill that made sure that our home healthcare workers got an increase to their wages. I mean, that's really, really important. So those things, thank you. So those things don't happen by themselves. And they're not going to happen because we don't have enough Democrats to only do it with Democrats. We need to find areas where we can work with our colleagues across the aisle so that we can get to work. I tell a lot of people ask me, Mihaela, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you go down there and work with David Lowe on a bill, which I worked with David Lowe on a bill. This is an individual who thinks women should have the death penalty for having an abortion. And let me tell you, when I first met him, I had an opinion about him. But then when he first met me, he had an opinion about me too. He thought I had horns. I'm telling you guys the truth. And he also was a veteran, or is a veteran, and he's also worked in our county jails. And I was working on a bill to make sure that our county jailers have training on how to interact with veterans who have trauma, whether it's from war theater or whatever. And it's a bill I've been working on since I was a staffer. And I said, hey, David, you want to work with me on this bill? And we worked on it together. Now, I don't agree with him on his stance on abortion, but I absolutely agree with him on his stance for making sure our veterans are treated with respect in our county jails, the largest providers of mental health care in our state. And so we have to find somewhere where we can work with these individuals, because at the end of the day, that's why we're there. And I fight Republicans a lot on the campaign trail. I beat them, is what I actually should say. I beat Republicans a lot on the campaign trail. So when I get to Austin, when I walk across that threshold into the Capitol, and I look at all those people that came before me and all that history, I realize that what matters now is what I've been telling you guys from when I first started running in 2021. It's time to get to work. It's time to get to work for the people of Texas. Thank you. So that's what I'm gonna do as we get back to work next week. And I hope that we can all continue to have our voice heard, and that we have a representative democracy. Because what they're trying to do right now with the gerrymandering, the continuous gerrymandering, is not about representation. It's about straight up manipulation. So I will take any questions.
If you have a question, raise your hand, and I'm going to come around so that...
Go easy on me. Don't ask me anything
because we're
hard.
streaming. So it's just going to go to that. So you still have to talk loud. So... this does not amplify your voice.
Okay. So I should...
say it loud.
Hi! I don't want to blow out the people on the internet. So mine's more of a question of calendar. Special session's 30 days, right? So mid-August is when we're going to know the conclusion of a lot of these bills, including the gerrymandering map. They're probably going to wait till like the last minute on that, I'm guessing. So we won't know what the new map's going to look like until like mid-August. And then more than likely, someone's going to file a federal lawsuit on it no matter what. So does that mean we're not going to know what our congressional districts are going to be like until like September, October?
Yeah, so what this gentleman is asking about is the calendar of, you know, how all this is going to play out. Like I said, it's very unusual for the redistricting to happen mid-decade. It's especially unusual for it to happen without any community input. From my understanding, I've been on calls literally even before the special session I've been literally on calls every day. The last information that I got is that, and this is from the vice chair of the redistricting committee, Representative John Rosenthal out of Houston, and he let us know that his conversations basically said there's going to be 3 field hearings. The one in Dallas is going to be on the 26th of July. So, like next weekend, okay? Like it's happening, you guys. It's not a drill. It's not a drill, okay? So that's going to be the Dallas one. The Dallas one is going to be smushed in between Austin and Houston. So it's going to be like, Austin is happening like the 24th, Dallas is like the 26th, and Houston is like the 28th or 9th. So they're happening really close. And then after those 3 field hearings, because they have to have like a show that they're trying, that's when we'll see the maps.
How do we get information on getting to it?
The maps?
No, the field hearing.
So that's going to be posted at Cody Vasut's will. You can look up Representative Cody Vasut. I encourage all of you guys to reach out to Representative Cody Vasut's office. He is the chair of redistricting, and he will have more information as to what his timeline looks like for disclosing that information.
How do you spell his last name?
V-A-S-U-T. Vasut. He's also the guy for, this is just a side note, he's also the guy for the Republican side. If you get a point called on your bill, like if someone walks up and is like, Mr. Speaker, I rise on a point of order on Mihaela's bill, he's the one that always argues those points of order for the Republican side. So,
I have a question.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. This is about something completely different. So my name is Jennifer Barry. I do have a weird name.
I love it.
And I am running for office. I'm running for the 282nd Judicial District Court. And so there is a bill regarding bail reform, and
Yes.
especially regarding a generalized, criminal. If you're accused of certain crimes, denying bail completely. And what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so there are multiple bills about bail reform this past legislative session. There were some that were worse than others. I do support some of the bail reform because I do think it's important for us to make sure that our most violent offenders, and so like those crimes were like rape, trafficking, things with children, right? We're not talking about like you're shoplifting or something. And we're also talking about repeat offenders. So there was some legislation that I did support that said, hey, if you've been charged or convicted on this crime before, maybe we should hold you without bail. My concern is that they want to take it much, much further in this special session, which is blatantly unconstitutional. And it's dealing not just with violent offenders, it's also dealing with sometimes first-time offenders, which is a concern. Yeah.
And it is a concern because sometimes we do have.
You're good. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, sometimes we do have individuals that are, being detained on an offense, on a warrant, but then later on they're exonerated or the case is dismissed. So there's an issue about denying them bail, which is not supposed to be used as an instrument of oppression. So how do we, if it does pass, like how do we, wrestle with that?
So the good thing about a lot of this is that a lot of these proposals are constitutional amendments. So you'll see them on your November ballot. There will be some provisions that are bail reform bills that you guys will all have the opportunity to vote on. And that's the tricky part about constitutional amendments, because when I vote for or against a constitutional amendment, yes, I'm technically voting for what's written, right? But like, let's talk about the 10 Commandments, okay? Stupid. It's obviously blatantly unconstitutional, right? So you're voting for, do we put the 10 Commandments up? But on a constitutional amendment, I'm voting, do I let you vote on that? So it's not necessarily like I'm voting yes or for this. I'm just saying, do you have the right to vote on it? And so that's the positive part, is that everybody in Texas is going to have the opportunity to vote on these things. My concern is if they continue to move in that direction in the special, but they already had a problem getting the 100 votes on a lot of the stuff, and so I don't know if it's different in the special than in the regular session, because in the special, there aren't 150 members filing bills. There's like 20 members filing bills. So they have less control on the body. A lot of people are just gonna be like, I'm not voting on it. But they need 100. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Can I ask my question? I'm going to ask my question real quick because I have the microphone and I can.
love that.
Because I'm the boss of this. So there's a lot of talk about breaking quorum, and I think that we're not
trying to get me.
I'm just gonna throw you to the wolves on this one. I know you can take it. I know that people are talking about it. It's an extraordinarily expensive option, and I don't think that a lot of people don't understand what it means to break quorum and how onerous it is and how actually criminally dangerous it is.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
think
what
you
I
just
want you
talk
to
about
talk
it, I
about
could be
that. Yeah.
in charge with racketeering or something by Kim Paxton. I'm gonna sit down for this one. We really need to have a talk about this, okay? First of all, quorum break is extremely expensive. It's not like it was back when our colleagues broke quorum in 2021. We made some changes to that law. It was going to cost us $500 a day individually, and it can't come out of my campaign account. So, like, if I had a rich benefactor that was like, oh, $500 a day, I got you on 100, you know, and make a large contribution to my campaign, I can't use it to pay my fines. It has to come from my personal money. And I don't know if y'all know how much they pay us, but I can't afford it. So it is very expensive. The other thing about the quorum break is it's dangerous. We have to be all together for long periods of time. So it's a security risk, really, for all of us to be there. It's also kind of a time game because at the end of the day, they have the numbers. So eventually, over time, they can round us up, bring us back, and kind of hold us to it. There are some good things about a quorum break, though. I'm not going to say there aren't. I think things like that spark a lot of attention and get people excited. And now you're seeing stuff like California wants to redraw maps too. We're going to start an arms race of redrawing maps. So I can't speak yet as to if that's a viable option for Democrats. I mean, it's not just me. If it was just me going, I'd be like, see you later, guys. You know? But it really has to be, there's got to be buy-in from all the members. There's got to be, everybody's got to want to do it, and we've got to be committed, and it's got to be more than just for a couple days. I mean, it's going to have to be for a long time, like almost to the end of the year. Because
they can call a special session over and over and over until you show up, right?
30 days over and over, for basically until the end of the year.
And just so that everybody knows that when you break quorum, you have to leave the state. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, they've already said, Ken Paxton's already said that if we're planning on leaving, like, we need to be prepared for people to show up at our doors. It's not just me, it's my staff. I mean, Jordan gonna get arrested. Can you imagine Jordan's mugshot? Everybody, let's think of Jordan's mugshot real quick. But yeah, you know, my staff, it puts my staff at risk. We can't tell, like, if Jordan's actually finding about all this right now, because, like, we're not technically supposed to say. I mean, it puts everybody pretty much at risk. It's not just, oh, we're leaving. I mean, it's a crime. It says it in the rules. It's a crime. And so I think that it has value. I'm not against all tools on the table, and I think that redistricting and what they're doing is definitely serious enough that needs, you know, unprecedented responses. But I don't know. I mean, 62 members have to be away from their families. I don't know. I don't know if all of them are going to be so happy about it.
Hi, my name is Ed. I had the privilege of voting for you in 2022, both in the primary and the general.
Thank you.
What
happened in 24?
Well, I moved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, one of the things that I remember most struck me when you were running the primary was that you spoke about having worked for one of the legislators and having learned the ins and outs, all the administrative rules, all the parliamentarian rules, and the ability to kill bills. Do you feel in the upcoming redistricting there'll be some opportunity to slow or kill some of these kinds of things?
Yeah, that's a really good point you bring up, and I think that we have to figure out where we have leverage as the party in the minority. That's just the truth of it. And so, you know, when you talk about where we have leverage, like, there's some really bad LGBTQ bills on the call. It's literally a bathroom bill, okay? But in order for us to figure out a way to negotiate those things, we kind of have to be there. And it's kind of like a trade a lot of times. And we did a lot of that in the regular session. There were so many worse LGBTQ bills that could have come before the body. There were worse reproductive rights bills. There was DART, right? So we have opportunities to kill legislation, and we use those opportunities. But it's just where the leverage is and where the friction points are to be able to do that. I'll give you a perfect example. We thought STAR was done and over. I mean, I was for sure thinking that STAR was a thing of the past, right? What ended up happening is the House passed it, and then STAR got caught up in a fight that had nothing to do with public education. It was actually the THC bill. It got caught up in a fight. So that's how it got killed in the Senate. So we don't know where those friction points are going to be. And I think that once we get down there and we start having conversations with the back hall and the speaker's office and figuring out, okay, what are your things that you absolutely have to do? Okay, well then that's where we start negotiating. And I think that's important.
We'll make a lot of friction.
Yeah. They are really trying us, aren't they? They're really trying us.
Is there any working with the Republicans at this point?
Oh, okay.
I think
Not on the minor bills and everything.
I think that we have an opportunity to work with them to stop this bathroom bill. I do think that we have an opportunity to work with them on eliminating STAR. I think that we have an opportunity to stop the taxpayer-funded lobbying bill. I think that there's, from what I'm looking at it, there are some low-hanging fruit there that I think that they're willing to trade.
Okay.
They put it on there for trading.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, an easy one.
So,
This is
Elaine
actually, this is an easy one. It actually doesn't even have to do with this session. I have a bill that I tried to work on. It's a mixture of criminal law and reproductive health. Just basically making sure that if a person is pregnant, that they have a strong option to not have their baby while incarcerated.
Yeah.
Because there's so much data showing the long-term harm of the child.
Absolutely.
And so I was able to get a lot of really positive feedback from definitely Democrats, but also Republicans, but I started too late. Based on what you're saying and what you worked on, it sounds like you would know the people, because if we're able to get Republican support, there are other states that have been able to get this bill passed. Yeah. Is it too early to work with your staff for the next session?
It's never too early.
Okay.
It's never too early. I started working on Everly's Law in 23 when I first went into the legislature. So it's never. Please get with my chief. I have some staff. You can just give them your information and we can get it going.
I'm going to let Mike be the last one.
Okay, Mike.
Hi,
Hey, I have to tell y'all a story about Mike. The very first time I ran for office, I didn't know this, but apparently when you file for office, it's supposed to be a big deal, and you're supposed to have, press there, and you're supposed to do it at the party headquarters, and, your family's supposed to show up, and it's, supposed to be a big deal, like a quinceañera or something, right? And I was ready to go. I was ready to file. And I texted Mike. I said, let's go. And he was like, okay, don't you want to come to the party? I was like, no, let's just go to Starbucks. I'm just going to hand you my application at the Starbucks. And now look at us. I'm a state representative. Can you believe it?
We did take a picture.
We did. We did.
Okay, one more question on redistricting.
Okay.
We know they want to go after 5 Democratic seats.
Yes.
Have you heard of any scuttlebutt about which ones?
Yeah. Jordan knows better. Do we know the specific seats? They're talking about Mark VC's and Julie's. Henry Coyar. Lizzie Fletcher. And maybe Sylvia Garcia. 5 seats.
So Julie is one.
Yeah, they're going to come for Julie. They're going to come, and Mark. I think they're going to try to do some kind of weird meshing of stuff. Hey, and just a shameless plug for me. Y'all know that just because they're not talking about house districts yet, that it might not come up. So pray for me, because if they're going to redistrict house districts, they're going to start with the one that keeps beating them. But yeah, those are the seats. It's Mark, Henry, Lizzie, Sylvia, and Julie.
And Vicente.
Oh, and Vicente. Okay, you guys, it has been such a pleasure to spend some time with you guys. It feels so good to be home. You guys give me life. You guys give me everything that I need to get to work. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Okay, you guys, the start is now. Let's get to work.
This is the hardest working representative in Austin. I'm not kidding you guys, and I'm like, this woman she knows what to do, and she does it with all of her might, and we are so fortunate to have her. And she shows up. She shows up.
And she won Most Fashionable Legislator.
Well, that's not a surprise. Most fashionable legislator. Okay. Well, does anybody have anything that I have missed? Oh, Mari said that they're canceling Stephen Colbert.
End of next season. End of next season.
As of May next year,
Yeah.
they've canceled his show. So we could all call CBS and bitch.
I think that you might be the only person that's running tonight besides Geneva is running for a district court. Yeah. Sorry, I don't remember which the number is. But you'll remember her name, Geneva. And she has come before and she will be back again. And starting next month, I am certain that I am not going to be able to hold back the flood any longer on candidates that want to come up here and have their moment to talk about what they hope to bring to that candidacy and to that campaign. So, like I said earlier, we've got a lot of opportunity coming up, and I hope that you guys will be as enthusiastic about that as you are about fighting these draconian laws that keep happening. I hope that you will be as enthusiastic about helping these candidates as you are about showing up here and, again, giving me the kind of wind beneath my wings that I need, and I hope it is something that you guys have gotten something from too. So thank you so much for coming. It's right just after 8:30. I'm not too late. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.